it's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee. Okay, now I really need to do something about my scraps, because at the minute I store my bigger straps in a box and my smaller scraps in pretty much a bin. Yeah, it's just a bin. So you can see that I don't find everything really easy. And I do need these because I do art quilts. So it's a case of, you know, I just need a small bit of fabric that's a colour. So what I'm going to do, now it's basically a wall hanging shoe rack. Now I'm sure you've seen these on telly. I've got some PVC polyfine urine thingy, and I'm going to sew straps across with the same PVC, and I'm going to pleat the bottom. I'm going to leave the top loose, and I'm going to hang it on the wardrobe door. So the first thing I need to know is the size of the wardrobe door. It's easy enough. And then I need to know the straps. So it's the width plus, I think, 1.5 inches for each pocket, and hopefully I can go for 3 pockets. So as you can guess, this is going to be quite sharp and it's not going to last. So what I'm going to do is I've got all my straps cut out ready. I am going to take one length, fold it in half, and I am going to sew along this edge, which should be easy enough, and then I'm going to fold over this piece of fabric, so to give a strengthening and better looking pocket. So let's just do a little bit. Now all I'm doing with my sewing machine is a normal size stitch, and then I'm going to take this and place it under the sewing machine and sew again. So I've got my work cut out for me, and I'll be back soon. Hi, welcome back. So what I have here is my sheet. Now I've marked it out with pins along the crease of 1/3. Now I've done this so that I've got an idea where to do the next stage. Now it's not accurate, and those pins are nothing more than a guideline for me. So that's easy enough. Alright, I think we should start at the bottom. It's a good place as any. So I'm just going to flatten this out slightly, and you can see that these are 1/3 along. So just 2 lines to make 3. Lovely. I need to line this up at the bottom. Now I can sew this. I am going to do the binding again over the edges, so it is kind of tricky whether to or not. But what I do need to do, we love a big project, don't we, is I need to get my pockets ready. So what I now need to know is 1/3 of this sheet. Now I know this is a big sew in the respect that it's a big thing. It's not overly complicated, it's just probably, I don't know, but it's simple enough to do. So that's that. Now all I need to do is, from that pin down, to that pin up, I need to sew a line. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trust my cutting, and I'm going to use the edge. As long as this top edge is straight, then I know that I'm going straight. So yes, noisy, creaky paper. And got my dough pedal. How could I have done that? Oh, who knows? And simple, straightforward sewing. I've got to make sure it can go forward and that I'm not catching anything underneath. So let's take this out and let's put some thread in the bobbin. Oh, do you know, I hate it when I do that, because you never know if I've actually sewn the last piece. Okay. Alrighty, so bobbin threaded, pins marked, fabric pre-perforated. Let's go again. So as long as I keep that straight and I keep this flat and I keep this flat and I don't get caught up, it's a simple matter of sewing to the pins. Sew on the binding as well, just to make it a bit more secure. Lovely. Pull this out again. Line it up, and we've got the pocket there, so we know that we're along all the right lines. And again, as long as these top lines are straight, then I'm straight. Line up my pins and sew. There we go, keep it all flat and away I go. So that's that. That's how the next stage, as it were. And then what we need to do is we need to lie that flat, take our next pocket, and you don't need much in between pockets. In fact, you could do it like that, but I'm going to give myself an inch and then literally sew, pin to mark it, and then sew to the next pin. So yeah, if I was to advise you how to do this, I think I'd tell you to tidy your table up first, because you're going to knock everything on the floor. But there's nothing difficult here. There really isn't. It's a simple case of pure volume. Okay, so that's my next step. Another thing I'm going to do before I do the binding around the outside is I'm going to, I don't know if I should jump to this or not. I think I might be jumping. Alright, so I have a strip of fabric here. Now it's half the width of the binding, so it's 1.5 inches. I'm going to sew it together, and then I am going to squash it flat. I'm not going to turn it inside out or anything. And then these sewn lines I'm going to sew over. Okay, so that's like my next step, but I'll be back. Hello there, well, it's Fiona, welcome back. So we have our pockets. They're attached only in the middle. Now what I'm doing next is I'm binding around the outside of the thingy thing. Now what I'm doing is I'm sewing, but I'm not catching the pockets. All I'm doing is, as before, I have a fold of fabric and I'm sewing these two rough edges along the outside. So that's easy enough, really, isn't it? I've just got to do it. Now, when I become a line with the second pocket down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this strap in there, and then I'm going to sew it in line with the other pocket. So this is just to hang it over the door. So let's see why my machine has gone, I haven't got any tension on the bobbin, and reload it. Now, I love taffeta. It really is like my favourite fabric. But as you can see, just handling it this much, and it has gone everywhere. Honestly, I look like the Yeti. When I stand up, I have to give myself a little shake because I am literally molting orange thread. But, you know, such is life. Even if I knew that this was going to happen, I don't think it would have changed my mind. So I don't have to worry about the pockets for 3 of the sides, but I do have to worry about the pockets on the bottom one. So that's where we're going next. I just want to finish up here and we can turn it around. So that's simple enough. The next sew I'll be doing is I'll fold it over and then I'll just literally zoom down to the bottom. So it is taking shape, and this taggy bit will be on the back, and I'll probably trim that just so that I can tuck it in neatly. So yes, 3 sides are easy. Now this bottom one, as we know, has the pockets in. So I've started sewing the back of it. And what we have to do is when we come to a pocket, we have to make sure that doesn't get caught up. So I go back in the sewing machine, and I must admit, it is taking shape, even though at some points I do feel like I've been wrestling. So what I've done is I've made sure that all the pockets are out of the way, and I'm just sewing along this line. So I've got my 2 raw edges here. And let's just finish that. That's good. Unwind it all from my bobbin. So now I've turned it over, and what I need to do is I need to sew this piece of binding over, but I need to incorporate the pocket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a few stitches at the point of the corner. Now this is just to get everything secure and in the machine, and there's a lot to be said for doing that. Now of course I can do this with pins, there's no reason why not to. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a dart in. So I'm going to place the fold and the dart, and then fold this over, very much like I was doing quilt binding. So, now, the first one's going to be hard, and then it should all take shape. So, let's get this lined up. Everything's in its place, and when we come to the bottom of this pocket, I'm going to fold it back in on itself, fold that over and take the pin out when I get a bit closer. So yes, very easy, lots to do. I'm going to make a start and I will be back with you when I do something new. So and come to the pin and then I can do the next pocket. So I'm going to pick up the excess and fold it over and then fold over this piece of binding. So I've got that firmly in my little mitt and away I go. I'm going to come to the end of that pocket, take the excess, pinch it over and then fold over my binding. And any of these sort of straggly bits I'm going to tuck in. So, but it's up to you, you know, I can't imagine any fabric worse than this, but if it is a problem, then maybe we could trim it. So there we go. Alright, I'm pausing the camera again. So, I am literally just finishing off the binding along the top of the fabric shoe hiding. Okay, now I must admit I feel like I've wrestled a Yeti. So there are straps and they hook over the door, so you will see these from the other side. But you know, I think it's okay. Now, next job. So, we need to sew up the bottom of the pockets. Now, I have a piece of binding here. And basically, what I plan to do is squash that flat and then sew over the bottom of the pockets. So, but as you can see, the pocket is like this. So what I have to do is I have to take a pinch and take a pinch and then I can get that to lie flat. So then we've got that flyy open bit. Okay, let's get this lined up on the machine. Now, okay, I'm doing one near the end. If you were doing the middle one, then what we would do is I would roll this up so that it doesn't get caught up and it doesn't get in the way. Now what I do have to worry about is this strap, so I am just going to restart this and move the back strap that goes over the door. So, alrighty, so I've got my first pleating ready and it's the same as we did on the bottom, and it's completely up to you whether you lie this flat and pin it first. I'm then going to whoosh round my piece of binding here so that it lies flat, and then I've come to the next pocket, so I can then pinch in my next gather. So lie my binding over the top, and then watching that the weight of the thing doesn't pull it out of the way. So, there we go. End of my second pocket, picking up the excess and then pinching it and putting it down. So I am actually not actually sewing my binding, so I'm just going to go back a bit and then rolling this just so that the raw edges are covered. So now that I've started the last pleat of the second one, I can just take my third one, I can pleat that so it's lying flat, lay over this binding, for a better word, and away I go. Now my machine's very hot, very tired. I think for the last 3 days I've sort of said to it, oh, I'll put some oil in you tonight when I go to bed and then we can leave it there. And I haven't, so my poor machine. And basically what it's doing, it's telling me that the tension is wrong. So the bobbin tension is wrong. Alright, so I'm just coming up to the end. I'm going to trim this bit. Believe it or not, I have been trimming as I'm going. And then I can just push in that end and then sew over the top so it's nice and tidy. I know, I'm going to have such a hard job, literally, cutting these threads so to get it looking nice. But I am there. That is the last sew. Need to get it out of the sewing machine. Right, I'm going to put my small scraps in a pocket and take it over to the door. Okay, you ready? Big reveal. No, you can't really see it anything, can you? No. Oh, well. Oh, that's terrible. Okay, well, I'm happy with it, even though it's coming out on video that it looks like, well, I can't even describe what it looks like. Okay, thank you ever so much for watching. My name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee.